Imagine living in a world where a single letter could paralyze an entire city with fear. Not a bomb, not a weapon, but a piece of paper filled with strange symbols no one could understand. This wasn't fiction, it was real. It was the work of the man we now call the Zodiac Killer, one of the most chilling and mysterious criminals in history. The story begins in the late 1960s in Northern California, a time when America was already shaken by protests, assassinations, and the Vietnam War. But nothing prepared people for the terror that was about to unfold. A man, whose face we still do not know, began a series of brutal attacks, targeting young couples in quiet places. At first, police thought they were random murders. But then, the letters started coming. The Zodiac wrote to newspapers, taunting the police, daring them to catch him. But what made him truly terrifying were the ciphers he sent, complex codes filled with strange symbols. In his mind, he wasn't just killing people, he was playing a game. A game with the public, the media, and the police as his unwilling players. Some of his codes were cracked. Others? They remain unsolved to this day. And that's what makes the Zodiac so haunting. He wanted fame, and he got it. Decades later, we are still talking about him. Still chasing his words. Still asking, who was he? In this story, we will dive deep into the legend of the Zodiac Killer, his crimes, his puzzles, and the mystery that refuses to die. Because sometimes, the scariest monsters are not the ones hiding in the shadows. They are the ones hiding in plain sight. It was the night of December 20th, 1968, in Vallejo, California. Teenagers Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday were on their first date. Like many young couples, they drove out to a quiet lover's lane to spend time together. But what should have been an innocent night turned into horror. Shortly after 11 p.m., an unknown man approached their car. No one knows exactly what was said, but what we do know is chilling. David was shot in the head at point-blank range, and Betty Lou was gunned down as she tried to run away. By the time police arrived, she had collapsed just a few feet from the car. There were no fingerprints, no clear motive, no witnesses. Just two teenagers gone, and a mystery beginning. 6 months later, on July 4th, 1969, another couple, Darlene Farron and Mike Mageau, sat in a parked car in the same area. Suddenly, a man with a flashlight approached. He shined it into their car and opened fire. Darlene was killed instantly, while Mike miraculously survived despite multiple gunshot wounds. This time, the killer made sure the world knew who he was. Less than an hour after the attack, a call came into the local police station. The calm male voice confessed to the shootings, even admitting responsibility for the earlier murders of Betty Lou and David. He ended the call with words that would echo through history. "I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye." The Bay Area had a killer on the loose. But he wasn't just any killer. He was about to reveal himself in a way no one expected, through letters, symbols, and codes that would turn him into one of the most infamous criminals of all time. Just weeks after the July 4th attack, newspapers across Northern California received envelopes that would shock the nation. Inside were letters from the man who called himself the Zodiac. He wasn't just confessing, he was bragging. Each letter included details only the killer could know, proving they were authentic. But what truly terrified people were the strange ciphers he enclosed. The first cipher, known as the 408 symbol cipher, was split into 3 parts and sent to different newspapers. The Zodiac demanded they be printed on the front page, threatening to kill more if they were ignored. Imagine opening your morning paper to see a killer's coded message staring back at you. It was like something out of a horror movie, but this was reality. The Zodiac taunted the police and the public, writing, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." He claimed that each murder would earn him slaves in the afterlife, a chilling mix of arrogance and madness. His words weren't just letters, they were weapons of fear. Within a week, a high school teacher and his wife managed to crack the first cipher. The message confirmed the killer's twisted philosophy about murder being the most thrilling experience. But here's the chilling part. The code ended abruptly with the line, "I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife." And so, the mystery deepened. The Zodiac wasn't just hiding in the shadows. He was playing a sick game, one where the police, the press, and the entire community were pawns. Over time, more letters arrived. Some contained even more complex ciphers, like the infamous 340-character code, which remained unsolved for over 50 years before a team finally cracked it in 2020. But several others, including shorter cryptograms, remain unbroken to this day. Was his real name hidden inside? Or were the codes nothing more than a cruel trick? No one knows for sure. But one thing was clear: the Zodiac wasn't just a killer. He was a manipulator, a showman, and a ghost who used words as deadly as bullets. By the early 1970s, the Zodiac had become more than just a killer. He was a legend of fear. Every new letter he mailed brought headlines, and every new cipher kept people guessing. Police from multiple counties joined forces with the FBI in one of the biggest manhunts America had ever seen. Yet, despite thousands of tips and hundreds of suspects, the Zodiac always slipped away. One of the most well-known suspects was Arthur Lee Allen, a troubled man with a dark history. Investigators linked him to some circumstantial evidence, but they never found enough proof to charge him. DNA samples taken from Zodiac letters years later did not match Allen, leaving the mystery unsolved. But Allen wasn't the only suspect. Over the decades, names have surfaced: teachers, journalists, even former police officers. Each time, evidence seemed close to pointing at the truth, but it always fell short. The Zodiac's identity remained locked away, hidden behind his puzzles and taunts. What makes the Zodiac so haunting isn't just the murders. It's the fact that he controlled the narrative. He forced newspapers to print his words, he teased investigators with half-truths, and he created a myth around himself that blurred the line between man and monster. Even when his confirmed killings seemed to stop, the letters kept coming, as if he wanted to remind the world, "I am still here." To this day, 3 of his ciphers remain unsolved. Could they contain his real name? Or were they simply red herrings, designed to frustrate us forever? The uncertainty is what keeps the Zodiac alive in our minds. More than 50 years later, his case remains open. Amateur sleuths, online detectives, and criminal profilers continue the hunt, driven by the hope that one day, the final code will be cracked and the mask of the Zodiac will fall. But until then, the Zodiac Killer is more than history. He is a shadow, a ghostly reminder that sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones who walk among us, unseen, unnamed, and unsolved.